through kind of the process from here. So we start off today with a lot of ideas. So we're going to spend the next couple hours coming up with a lot of ideas through a design thinking process. Then we'll break out into, first we will break out into our groups that we're sitting in, but we'll break out into bigger groups and hear these ideas from one another and rate them through Slido. And then from there, the goal is to pick the top two, where we'll have a finalist Shark Tank here on stage. And those top two companies will get to do this. They will review the full list of ideas, so we want to make sure even if you didn't make it to the finals that we review that idea. We'll evaluate and prioritize those, and then we'll scope and align and actually launch those projects in 2020 with the help of the All Hands Task Force. So it's going to be a really exciting afternoon. I know I'm personally very excited about it. And before I introduce our afternoon portion, I'm going to just quickly go through some ground rules and setting the stage. So really, nothing's off limits. So the sky is the limit. Dream big. Please give us your full attention. So if you disengage, it'll be hard to re-engage. Then it's going to take courage, similar to the courage it took to ask the questions that you did. So we're all in this together, and please, have an open mind and be positive around how we can, move forward. And then really anything, the Vegas rules, anything that you share in your group stays in your group. So the concept of psychological safety, that this, what you say stays in your group. So you're able to be fully open and fully transparent. And then last point, both our commitment from the leadership team, but also from me personally, is to listen, take ideas forward, and to keep you in the loop as we put together the task forces to launch these projects. And with that, I would like to welcome a very special guest on stage. We've had the opportunity to work together in our health and InsurTech team to really bring innovation processes and design thinking to our corporate partners. We've done this in Boston, New York, Africa, Abu Dhabi, and really what we were thinking is why aren't we doing this within Plug and Play? So I'm really excited and honored to welcome Simon on stage to run the afternoon portion of today.
Thanks. Well, g'day everyone. How's it going? G'day everyone. There we go. There we go. So I'm kind of new here at Plug and Play. Well, relatively speaking, hands up if you've only been here 3 months or less. See, I'm already an old person here. I've only been here for 4 months or 5 months or so. My background is, so I started my career as a lawyer back in Australia, doing claims, litigation, representing plaintiffs, criminal defendants, corporate litigation, and came over here chasing a girl about 10 years ago and joined the Stanford University health system. And while I was there, a lot of my work was essentially trying to put broken things back together. You got this sacred relationship between a doctor and a patient, and sometimes healthcare goes wrong. Sometimes there's a medical error, sometimes someone dies. In fact, last night I was hanging out with a friend of mine who we started working together after her son died at Packard Children's Hospital after a medical error. And she actually started working with our team. Her name's Leilani. And she was trying to help us rethink how we do what we do. And we had a model where we really prided ourselves on being firm but fair. So if the health system had made a mistake, if we'd hurt someone and we shouldn't have, we would try and compensate them, but not too much. And then if we didn't feel like we'd done anything wrong, we would fight them tooth and nail. And Leilani, I think, helped us sort of rethink, hey, look, is that really your job? Aren't you part of the health system? Aren't you part of the continuum of care? Is that really the humane thing to do? And it was a really interesting journey because I think as a lawyer, you become good at what you're good at. You know, you pride yourself on your ability to do well by your client. And if your client's the health system and the plaintiff just happens to be one of your patients, all of the incentives are aligned to make you work hard for the benefit of your client. But when you take a bigger view, well, actually, who were we? We were representing the health system. We were bastions or we were custodians of our brand. In some senses, we were part of the continuum of care. Like, why are we hurting people after we've already hurt them? And it was really interesting starting to rethink and reshape and reorient, like, what are our values as a company? What are our values as a health system? And how should we be actually thinking about the success factors? And that was a journey. It was really hard to really change how we even viewed the meaning behind our work and how we were measuring it. How do you incent people towards these new behaviours that you want them to exhibit? And honestly, in most corporate transformations, 20% of the people just have to get off the bus. They're not up for the journey because they get stuck in the old ways. And I got really, really passionate about this idea of change. Like, how do you become who you need to be? Netta said it, what got us here won't get us to where we need to go. So that's what All Today is about. And I think it's been an honour for me to be here at Plug and Play and to be part of this, journey. I think one of the reasons I joined Plug and Play was it felt like it was at this inflection point where there'd been a time that I wasn't part of incredible growth, incredible innovation based on an amazing value proposition that fit like a glove in terms of what corporates were looking for, what VCs were looking for, what startups needed, particularly growth stage startups. But now as a company, we've gotten to that size where, oh, hang on, we've got some inefficiencies here. Like, we could be learning from each other. Why are you guys using that system and that system? Like, why can't we be doing that together? Hang on, we've got superstars here. I keep hearing about Michael Olmstead, but I have no idea the secret sauce that he uses, right? How do I get some of that? And that stuff really animates me. Like, that stuff is actually really, really exciting because we've got an amazing opportunity to learn from each other and to imagine what are the capabilities that we need to build, what are the mindsets we need to embrace in order to achieve the future that we want. We're already technically the largest innovation platform on the planet, but we haven't nowhere near tapped the potential of the impact that Plug and Play can have, or the size that Plug and Play could be, not just for profit, but for people and for the planet. And you keep hearing Syed talk about legacy, right? What is the impact that we're creating for the companies that we serve, for the entrepreneurs that we serve, for the communities, for the countries that we serve, and the planet where we all live? And I mean, I think if there's any animating force, I think that's what animates me. So pleasure to be here, and thanks for giving the Aussie a go. So anyway, that's me. While at Stanford, I got really involved in this whole design thinking space. So, we were looking at, well, how do we change? And so I went across the country and across the US and the UK looking for best practices. And I just kept hearing about this language of human-centered design and design thinking. And I was like, so where did you learn that? And they're like, well, at Stanford. And I was like, really? Okay, great. Where did you learn that? At Stanford. Okay, where? The D School. You mean I can throw a rock and hit that building? Yes. So I went down there, took some classes. I think I totally had a conversion experience and went headlong. We started an innovation lab to do internal, external innovation and completely transformed the way that we were approaching risk, safety, quality, the patient experience, the provider experience at Stanford. And made a huge amounts of mistakes along the way in a big, lumbering, complex political organization with a lot of bureaucracy and processes that weren't designed to... They didn't seem to be designed at all. They're there because they were there. And somewhere along the way, I think we worked out a way of how do you marry the human side with the business side? How do you work out when to use technology and what technology and how to integrate that? And then how do you move complex, big organizations and how do you win people's trust? I think in the end, everyone is interested in change. Like everyone's interested in change. Change for the better, of course. No one really likes to be changed, though. And I think in terms of the change journey, it's so much about winning people's trust, taking people along the journey with you. And that's what today is all about. So in designer speak, we say that people are the experts in their own experience. And in terms of how plug and play really works, you guys are the experts. It's a really, really dangerous thing to assume that you know what the problem is, especially when the person you're designing for is not you. And in fact, all the research says that you are actually a really poor predictor of what you want and what you need. People aren't very good at telling you what they actually need or they want. What Henry Ford said, right? If I ask people what they want, what would they say? A faster horse, right? And so often people say, well, yeah, because of that, I shouldn't ask people what they want. You know, let's not talk to our customers, right? Steve Jobs kind of got the reputation of saying, people don't know what they want, they'll know it when I show it to them. The thing you don't know is that IDEO, which is a human-centered design firm, has been a regular employee of Apple all through the years. And what do? Deep human-centered design, right? Really talking to customers, really understanding what they want. Because what Henry Ford really knew is that what people really need is a better way from getting from A to B, right? They need a faster, safer, more efficient, cheaper way from getting A and B. But customers and you aren't always good at articulating that. I'm a terrible predictor of what I want, right? But if you watch me, if you listen to me, if you hear my stories, you'll start to be able to intuit, hey, I think Simon cares about this kind of thing. I think if I say this to Simon, like that'll bring a smile to his face. I won't be able to tell you that stuff, but you'll be able to intuit by getting to know me. And that's the essence of human-centered design. So if we really want to understand where our big design opportunities are, it starts by talking to the people at the center of those complex systems. I love this quote. All systems are perfectly designed to get the results they get. So all of the outcomes that we get here at Plug and Play, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, is all a result of the design of our system. That's true for your relationships, your family, your health. That's true for everything. The cool thing about this is that design is all about the science of the artificial. What I mean by that is it's all the product of human decisions, which means that certain decisions got us to where we are, and that means the power is ours to make different decisions about where we want to go. So this is not about people being in the way. This is about the systems in which we work and live. It's about our policies as a company. It's about what we do in meetings, how we set those things up. And the beautiful opportunity is we can change those things. We really can, especially if they help us get to where we want to go. And we've got a powerful vision. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? So here's a quick brief roundup for today. I am going to speak only for a few more. Brevity is not my strong suit, so I'm going to do my best to speak for a very, very short period of time, just to bring us all to a sort of a common layer of understanding around what is this design thinking stuff anyway and why are we doing this. Then we're going to launch straight into group activity work with your teams. And we've got an amazing group of folks who were kind of voluntold that they were going to be facilitators. And they all was like, okay, yeah, this sounds good. I hope this is going to be a good experience. And they're awesome. So we did a session 2 days ago to sort of romp through what this activity is going to be. But at each of your table, you have a facilitator in your group. All the facilitators, would you mind just raising your hands? Great. So it's their job to keep us on track. So we are going to go through various activities. So first off, in launch, we're going to get to know our teams a little bit, and we're going to have a little bit of kind of like an icebreaker, or just to get the juices flowing, just imagining the future of Plug and Play. What we're going to do is we're going to use that activity to seed the design challenges that each of your groups are going to take on for the afternoon. And over lunch, as you have lunch with your teams, your job will be to select the challenge that you're going to take on. And I'll give you some instructions about how to select that. After lunch, we're going to go through a design sprint. What does that mean? So the design process, which I'll talk about in a sec, kind of goes through this process of learning about your user, trying to define what the problem is that you're trying to solve, developing new ideas, and then delivering a potential solution. So that's in one chunk. And we're going to go a little bit of instruction about what we're going to do. You guys work at it for half an hour, and then I'm going to gong. I've got a gong on my phone or something. At each gong, I need the facilitators and everyone just to agree to give Simon a break. We're all going to like hush and like refocus up here. It's going to feel awkward. You're not going to like it. That's okay. Just blame me. I'm going to give you a little bit of instruction, and then we're going to go for another sprint again. So that's all here in the event center. Then, by the time you guys have got an idea that you're pretty excited about, we're going to get you to prepare a short, creative, 2-minute pitch presentation. And you can be as creative as you want, and we'll talk about what that could look like. From there, we divide all of us up into 4. And we're going to go out into these breakout rooms where each team is going to be able to pitch to your colleagues the ideas that you've come up with. And as colleagues in the other teams, you'll be able to score using a little app, which we'll give you the link for, what you thought of those pitches. And then the final 2 from each of those 4 big groups, they all come back in here for the finalists for a Shark Tank where they pitch their ideas to a mixture of our leaders and folks who are going to be in the Shark Tank. We announce the winners, we commit to taking those ideas forward, as Netta said, and then we have happy hour and Bob's your uncle. Sound good? It's a lot, right? So it's a lot. But so by the end of the day, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to go, oh my gosh, that was hectic. But you're also going to be surprised at what you're able to come up with. And I hope we'll all feel inspired by the potential that we have here at Plug and Play for really achieving like those things that we really want to achieve. People, planet, profit. There's probably another P in there that I've forgotten. But all the good stuff, all right? Good stuff. All right, so where we're going. Launch. Before we begin, all right. Power tools. At your table, there is a post-it note pad for every one of you and a Sharpie. When you're drawing on a post-it, these are actually, there is a right way of doing this. So, when you're using a post-it, one thought, hey gang, hey folk, hey guys. So when you're using a post-it note, here's the deal. One thought, quote. Hey facilitators, give me a hand. We all good? All right, I'm plowing through. One thought, quote, or observation per post-it. Use a Sharpie. Keep your thoughts quick and concise, and pull them off like a pro. So, if you learn nothing else from today, it's how to use a post-it notepad correctly. Hang on, can I borrow this? Hey guys, could I have your attention for a sec? All right, so this is an experiment. When Netta said we're doing a design workshop with 200 people, with one guy who has done this lots and maybe a few who've done it a little bit, I said, let's not do that. And she said, no, this is going to be awesome. What do you need? And I said, all right, we're going to do it. I reckon we can all do it. So here's how it works. Like, I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then I'm going to like let you go open slather. But I need, when I come back, just like hush, come up, and we'll plow through. Is that cool? Yeah? All right, and facilitators, like, help me out when that happens. Is that cool? All right, good. All right, how to use a post-it notepad. This is a skill that you'll take through life. Most people, when they use a post-it pad, they pull it off like this. And so see that little curly-whirly thing that happens? Yeah? Try it yourself. Go, have a go. Pull it off straight up. All right, that's the wrong way, because if you pop that anywhere, it'll fall off. So what you do is you pull it down, just like that, and see it's nice and flat. Cool? You're welcome. All right, so that's what we'll do. Where are we? All right, so here we go. In Alice in the Looking Glass, there's this amazing passage, which I don't know why I was reading this book recently, but I was. And there's this lovely passage where it says, well, in our country, said Alice, still panting a little, you generally get to somewhere else if you run very fast for a very, very long time, as we've been doing. a slow sort of country, said the Queen. Now here you see, it takes all the running you can do just to keep in the same place. If you want to get to somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that. Candace spoke about our competitive advantage. And Plug and Play is pretty cool. I mean, we have some serious competitive advantages. We're really big. We've got amazing people. We've got an amazing passion. We've got visionary leadership. We've got an amazing network of corporate partners. We're here in Silicon Valley. We've got a lot of stuff going for it. The most amazing thing, though, is that in any competitive advantage, whether it's you being a great snowboarder or your skills, maybe you went and did an MBA. I'm doing an MBA right now. It's really interesting. Like you'll have an edge over the competition because you know more or you can do something better. But that ain't gonna last, right? That's not gonna last long. And typically, there's two sources of competitive advantage. What is a competitive advantage? A competitive advantage is the thing that enables you to compete in a competitive marketplace, right? It's the thing that people will pay for, right? It's the only reason you can compete in a competitive marketplace, is if you have an advantage. And you need to have an advantage over the competition. You do it in two ways. First, differentiation. You provide something that no one else provides. So that could be a product, it could be a service, it could be an experience, or it could be a brand. Why do most people pick, in this area at least, Apple over Samsung? Does Samsung have better tech? Maybe? Technically, yes, right? On pretty much every spec, the latest Samsung devices are superior to the Apple devices. But why does everyone buy an iPhone? Huh? Blue text? What does that mean? You're in the iPhone network. Aha, absolutely. So all right, so they are providing something. So there's a bit of a network effect that Apple's creating, right? There's this other thing, for a while there when Steve Jobs was at the helm, there was an ad campaign that was really, really telling, where Apple would show the photos you could create with an Apple device, where the ad said, taken on an Apple, right, taken on an iPhone. And Samsung, on the ad next door, was showing a photo of the phone. So what is Samsung selling? Technology. What is Apple selling? Instagram, right? They're telling you what you can do with it, right? They're selling a brand. They're selling an experience. The other side of competitive advantage is efficiency. So you do what others can do, but you do it better than them, right? You do it at a lower cost, you do it at higher quality, or you do it more faster. Qualcomm is a perfect example of a company where really, I mean, they've got no IP, right? They don't have any like proprietary anything. In fact, they have no B2C products whatsoever. In fact, they serve Apple and Samsung. But both companies use Qualcomm because Qualcomm has worked out a way to provide the service they do at a higher quality, at a lower cost, and faster than they could ever do it. And that's their competitive advantage. We've got competitive advantages up the wazoo, right? But the issue is, as I said, competitive advantages don't last. If you've had a relationship or been at work in your new environment, oh, hey, I'm a prophet, it fell off. Most things can be plotted across what's called an S-curve, which is basically a curve that defines the value you're getting from a particular source of competitive advantage. For instance, in the initial part of a relationship, it starts off kind of slow. You're just getting to know the person, and then you fall madly in love and you talk every day. And then it kind of matures and, you get into a rhythm. And then what happens if you stop investing intentionally in the relationship? Things kind of go stale, right? It's very similar to what companies do, right? In that there's an initial product market fit that the company finds. There's a period of explosive growth where customers are excited and all of that sort of stuff. But then, people get a little bit tired of that and maybe something else comes along and that company fails to keep innovating and keep capturing customers' attention or their imagination, and they sort of fall off. And it leaves room for a disruptor to come in and to take over. Now, I'm not saying that we're completely liable across all aspects of our business. But this applies to our HR function, our onboarding processes. This applies to the way our sales team interact. We've had processes that have served us really, really well and facilitated like amazing amounts of explosive growth. But we all know that there are certain things that we do, operating processes or otherwise, that with respect to where we need to go, are at the maturity stage. And we need to find new ways of doing things. But just like I'm a skier. I'm actually a pretty good skier. There was this one season where my mates were like, mate, skiing, get onto snowboarding, come with us, it's going to be awesome. So I was like, I'm a pretty good skier. He goes, no, you're going to like snowboarding way better. So I went snowboarding. I sucked at it. And I was coming back down to the chairlift, and I caught an edge and slingshot myself into the snow. Got myself a concussion. Haven't been snowboarding since. Now, it could be true that snowboarding is better than skiing, but just like most companies and most like anything, no one likes to get out of a warm bath. Like when things don't feel to be broken, there's very little incentive to actually fix them, right? We don't like to embrace new ways of doing things, especially when we're not practiced at it. And just like we teach our companies, the new AI tool will be worse than what you've been doing for 30 years initially, right? And the reason why a lot of business units reject the new tech is because it's not as good as what they've been doing. But the company knows that to get onto the new value curve, to derive the new value, they've got to embrace something new, and it's going to perform worse initially. So the trouble is that as organizations, as people in relationships, it's really hard to embrace a new value proposition while you're in the middle of the old one. Does anyone recognize that? In your relationships or at work here, right? It's really, really hard. We're just not good at it. And that's okay. But that's called The Innovator's Dilemma. The Innovator's Dilemma is a book in 1997 written by a guy named Clay Christensen. And he was really interested in exploring why do incumbent organizations so often get overtaken by these upstart disruptors. Like Kodak, they should have known the digital revolution was coming, right? Nokia should have foreseen the smartphone. Sony should have invented the Apple Store, right? So why did they miss it? Well, the truth is that each of those companies had come up with those ideas, right? But none of those companies had developed the internal mechanisms, the internal structures, the internal disciplines to continually find new sources of competitive advantage and exploit them. And so what do the leading companies do? They don't just provide stuff that other people don't, and they don't just do the same things better than others, but they actually intentionally invest in building the capability to reinvent themselves. And you know these people. There's people here who are learning new languages. There's people here who are going coding class at night. You've probably got friends who just seem to be learning stuff all the time. And those are often the most interesting people. In business, those are the companies that actually survive. Because you need to find continually new sources of value in order to get to where you want to go. What got you here won't get you there. And so the question is, okay, I actually like this quote. Companies that successfully reinvent themselves learn to focus on fixing what doesn't yet appear to be broken. And that's the key. There's this pastor named T.D. Jakes, and I was listening to the Oprah podcast the other day. I don't know if does anyone admit to listening to that one? I quite like it. Anyway, he goes, look, in order, like a good fruit, right, requires a really good seed. If you want to grow a big tree, you've got to have a really good seed. If the seed's rotten, you're in trouble. And the trouble with most companies and most organizations and most people is they let the rot, you have to rot to get to the middle. But you don't have to rot to get to the middle. You can cut to get to the middle. You can slice straight through. And that's what companies do, right? They learn to fix what doesn't yet appear to be broken. I mean, this is a cute slide, right? There are so many examples of amazing firms which failed for very predictable reasons. And the truth is that at a lot of these firms, those firms did identify where the problem was. They did identify where the disruption was going to be. And they didn't, as a firm, develop internal capabilities to learn and grow. And so when the disruptor came, they had no answer. We just learned what CB Insights just released Scout, right? We've got our corporate partners. I know for a fact some of them are raiding Playbook for all of the information because they're creating their own playbook. We have corporate partners who are getting really sophisticated in their venturing and scouting, or so they think, right? They're developing internal accelerators. And we as a company compete in a very competitive marketplace where we need to keep and retain the best talent. So there's kind of all amazing opportunities to learn and grow, and we've got to understand where we are and the imperative that we get the best ideas. But we only have so much time, right? There's only so many things you can commit to, and you have to develop a strategy. Like, what are the 4 or 5 big things that we're going to do to get to where we need to go? You can't boil the ocean. So the question is, in terms of the opportunity landscape, where do the best ideas come from? And Ned has said, look, really our ideas can come from like 4 big spaces, right? Our corporate partners, what's going on in the market, startups we're inspired by. But in terms of like how Plug and Play operates, if I said that the best ideas come from the people for whom you're designing. If we're talking about the plug and play experience and what it's like to work here, who are the best end users to speak to? Yeah, you. You guys know it. You guys know it better than anyone, right? You live and breathe it every day. I'm going to brevity is not my strong suit. That's fine. All right, Post-it notes. All right, here's your mission. Now, let's try and make this a really silent exercise because I just want to skip through, but it's a really important one. So in 10 seconds, this is just for you. In 10 seconds or less, all I want you to do is on your Post-it note, draw a gift for someone close. All right, ready? In 10 seconds or less, draw a gift for someone close. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, doesn't have to be pretty, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, hold up your Post-it note. Hold it up, hold it up, hold it up. Hold it up when you're done. Hold it up when you're done. Show it to your team. Hold it up, hold it up, hold it up. All right, everyone done? Everyone done? All right, put it down, put it down, put it down, put it down. All right, here we go. All right, guys, stop. Where's my gong? All right, guys. All right, here's the next one. Guys, I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes for a moment. Guys, just close your eyes for a moment. It's not weird. Nothing's going to happen to you. Just close your eyes for a moment. All right, I want you to think of that loved one, that person that was close to you, who you just drew the gift for. And I want you to think about what's been making them mad, glad, and sad. What have they been thinking about lately? What inspires them? It's 2020, it's a new year. What have they been talking about? What are their aspirations for the year? What do they love to do? What just rocks their world? What could you arrange for them that would make them feel known and loved by you? What could you arrange for them, gift, experience, doesn't matter what it is, that would make them feel known and loved, that would kind of animate them, make them feel known? So just take a moment, think of a real thing. I don't mean like freedom or endless life or whatever it is. Like, what's a thing? What's something that you could actually do? Doesn't have to cost much, could cost a lot. But what's one thing that you could do that would make them feel known and loved? And without talking to anyone, just with your Post-it and you, draw a picture of what that is. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And without saying anything, just lift up your Post-it note. Hold them high, hold them high. Hold them high. All right, guys. Guys. Hold them high. Like straight arms, right up top. Right up top. Guys down the back. All right. So here's the question. Hey, friends. Here's the question. I'd just like you to put your hand up if what you drew on the second Post-it note was different to what you drew on the first Post-it note. It worked. What was different? I mean, apart from it being a setup, what was different? Okay, I reframed the problem, right? I made this from an execution challenge, right? I said, draw a gift for someone close, right? And then what I did is I reframed it. I said, first, I want you to actually think about the person for whom you're designing, right? So in traditional business thinking, what generally happens is this. We start with a concrete definition of what the problem is. We're all smart people. We've got brains, right? If I ask you, what's the problem? You could tell me what the problem is. And then if I say, what's the solution? You could tell me a solution, right? Whether it's working from home or some of the other stuff we saw on the Q&A and stuff that we've got to work through as a company, right? Those are real. That's real stuff. Hey, if we want to compete, we've got to compete. We need the best people here, right? That's serious stuff. But what happens in business is that if you made an incorrect assumption about the problem, you end up solving for the wrong thing. So you might produce a beautiful solution, but it's a solution that no one wants. We call that achieving failure. And the issue is, you often don't know the mistake you're making when you're defining the problem. And we assume that we do. And this happens over and over and over again. My mum, for instance, she's a wonderful gift giver. But every time I go back to Australia, I usually take just carry-on luggage. And so everything's packed into this one bag. And my mum often, she works as like an education consultant, so she's often in Southeast Asia, because of the climate change, the ocean's rising, so they employ her to try and teach people before they become climate refugees. And the amazing thing is she gets all these souvenirs and she's so excited about what she's been doing that for Christmases and stuff, she ends up giving me, and she knows that I like just a carry-on, she ends up giving me like a hula skirt one year. She gave me like this bamboo thing that was long, like some sort of ceremonial thing the other year. This time she gave me this bowl. And I was like, Mum, what can I do with this? I can't take this back to America. Who is my mum thinking of when she's coming up with that gift? My wife. Yeah, but what's the problem that she's trying to solve? She's trying to get rid of the stuff that she was given? Yeah, maybe. Look, she's excited. She's doing it with the best of intent, right? She wants me to be as excited. Yeah, it's what she likes. It's what she likes. And you know these people, right? They give you stuff they want to give you, right? Because they're the ones that are excited about it. It's not really what excites you. The best kind of gift givers don't give out of what they want to give you or what they would like to receive. They give you stuff that you want to receive, right? That is a complete reframe. And that's the fundamental difference between traditional business thinking and design thinking. Design thinking starts by discovering who your customer is. Starts by saying, okay, we need to talk about working from home. Let's try and figure out, before we start looking at what happens elsewhere and copying and pasting and stuff, let's talk to the people for whom we're designing. Let's try and figure out what is the problem that we're actually trying to solve. Right? What is the pain point? What's the opportunity? Let's understand what makes people mad, glad, and sad. Let's actually walk through their work week. What are those opportunities? Then we come up with a nuanced definition of the potential problems we're trying to solve. Because it might be not that people just want to flog off and work from home. It could be actually that the open space work environment is so noisy and distracting that when people take a sick day, they notice that they get way more stuff done. So it's actually not that the problem is not working from home. The problem is that at work it's distracting. That might be the problem. I'm just riffing. but the problem might be different than the one that you initially start with. Instead of going straight to a concrete solution, in design thinking, we develop multiple solutions and we explore multiple different directions. Because ultimately, what we're trying to do is to arrive at a more nuanced definition of what the problem is and arrive at solutions that are tailor-made for the context and the people for whom they're designed. And eventually, when we're delivering, we've got a much greater hope, much greater chance of actually producing something that has product market fit, right? It solves a compelling user need. It works with the possibilities of technology and in the context. And thirdly, supported by a sustainable business model. That's the balanced breakthrough. 1, 2, 3. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. The best ideas are inspired by the people for whom they're designed. So design thinking, if you didn't know, now you know. It's a strategic toolbox. It's a process. It's a mindset for problem solving that starts with the users who you're trying to design for and ends with solutions tailor-made to meet their needs. And I said it's a process, but really it's just a way of thinking about problems. It's really an approach, an orientation, a mindset. It's yes and. So rather than saying no, but that will never work here and all that sort of stuff, we're always thinking positively without cynicism, thinking about, hey, we have the creative potential in this room to solve every problem that we face. We really do. Build empathy. Empathy is this way of describing this approach of really getting to know your end user by learning to walk in their shoes. You don't know what the problem is until you've walked in the shoes of your end user, and there's lots of ways of doing that. Embrace optimism. That's similar to yes and, but it's really about this idea of exploring and giving yourself permission to explore many, many different possibilities, both in terms of your definition of the problem and in your exploration of the solution, and build to think. One of the most beautiful things that happened to all of us in our education, those of us who sort of went through all the exams and stuff, is we're trained to get given a problem and then we assume that then there's a right answer, right? What's the problem? Here's the problem, I'll give you a solution. And if I can't think of what the solution is, I'll sit there and I'll mull it and I'll mull it and I'll mull it over until I come up with an idea what the solution is. And 2 days ago when we went to the facilitator training, what I noticed was when with some of these activities, folks are just like, what's the right answer? What's the right answer? That's okay, that's how we're trained. Honestly, that's how we're designed. Design thinking flips that. It's about building to think. So the idea is to get your ideas down, no matter how silly, no matter how off-base, no matter how imperfect, because when you get those things down, the right solution tends to reveal itself, and you'll never know that as a truth. Like, you might understand that, but you won't understand that in here until you do it. And so your facilitator's job today is to help you move through this process and to not get stuck in analysis paralysis. So if you have a bad idea today, if you think, well, what if this is it? I'm not sure about that. What I want you to do is write it on a Post-it note, get it down, and then move on. Get on to the next thing. We're going to be moving. And you're going to feel like at every stage during this workshop, you didn't have time, you weren't finished, and Simon, like, we're not done, man. Like, we haven't explored every nuance here. Absolutely. I get it. I know. But the beautiful thing about the design process is that at each stage, it pushes us forward through the process where we arrive at much more nuanced understandings of the problems that we're trying to solve and much more nuanced solutions. You just got to trust the process. And it will feel different. We're going to be employing new muscles. It'll be a bit weird. That's okay. You're doing something new. Remember the innovator's dilemma. It doesn't feel good to do something that you're not good at. No one likes it. I don't like it. But that's okay. We're here to do something new. Why? Because we see an amazing future for Plug and Play, right? We're all passionate about impact and the potential here. But in order to get to there, it won't do to do what we've been doing, right? We need to embrace new capabilities. We need to learn and grow. And that means our culture, that means our processes, that could even mean our value proposition. But that's cool. Everything's on the table. And today is about learning from you. Sound good? Yeah. All right, good. All right, so here we go. Oh yeah, and it helps to know that design thinking is popular and stuff. I mentioned 2 days ago when I got into this, which was about 2011. I went on Google and I did this Google search and pulled this graph up, and it looked the same as it does now. I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, and it's worth knowing that this is serious stuff. McKinsey produced a really decent report last year in 2018 where they took something like 400,000 data points across 200 companies and identified what makes for a design-centric firm or a design-driven firm. In other words, a firm that embraces design thinking or these design approaches to learning about their problems, coming up with solutions, engaging their workforce, engaging the marketplace. And they found that they outperform their competition 2-1. So that's not bad, right? So if we are design-centric and we're already there, this just means here's an opportunity to extend our advantage. If we're not, wow, what an opportunity, right? What an opportunity. And that you can do that in your vertical, you can do it in your life. There's all kinds of wonderful things. All right, so let's begin. So today, by the end of today, 40 new ideas for innovation and growth. They could span the space. And I've already walked through that, so you know what that's about. At each of your tables, there's a few little tools for the road. So you have a field guide. It's this big, trusty thing. And your facilitator's job is to walk your team through it. I'm going to give you some instruction at the start of every activity. At each table, nominate a scribe to put your group work in the same thing. And also at each table, there ought to be one single sheet in orange called a declaration of awesomeness. If there's not, we'll fix that. It should be there. Is it there? Can someone confirm whether it's there? It's not there. We'll fix this. We will be using a mixture of Slido and Typeform through the day, and the links will be up there. We've got some QR codes. I've spoken about power tools and a few things. I've already walked through this, right? Yep, I really have. All right, awesome. All right, first activity. Enough from me. Is that good? Any questions before we go? Everyone's good? If you have a question, ask your facilitator. If the facilitator says, I don't know, that's fine. They'll find me and I can come around. And I'm just going to rove right through all these activities. But our most important thing right now is to start our first activity. So here we go. Let's practice this little part. So we're going to do this a few times. So in this first activity, this is simply about getting to know your team. So, all right, first, what you could do is on a Post-it note, I just want you to think about who is someone that you're inspired by and why, and what's your biggest hope for this afternoon? So it's 2 things. Go around, share amongst your team, and then the next part of this is I want you to imagine that Forbes magazine or Wired or someone has produced an article, a really high-impact article at the end of, not this year, but next year. And it could be on some aspect of Plug and Play. Look, it could be our top-line revenue, or it could be our operating model. It could be how we treat our employees. It could be how we're unleashing innovation across 60 different offices, whatever it is. This is not for your group. This is for you to think about. This is for you as an individual to brainstorm. So you think about what's the article about, and think about what are you passionate about, right? What impact do you want to see at Plug and Play? What stories would you like to tell your friends and family about the amazing company that you're part of in 2 years' time? That's the first part. So write down what the headline is, just the headline. Second, what would have to be true for Plug and Play to actually hit that goal? Syed, you said by 2025, I want to reduce plastic waste by 10%. So for your activity, what would have to be true in 2 years' time for there to be an article that says something like, Plug and Play reduces plastic waste by 10%. How did we do it? What did that mean? So I want you to write that down and then share with your team. All right, that's 1, 2. And this is a hop, skip, and a jump. So here's the jump. As you go to lunch, you've got 2 things. 1, I want you to choose a name for your team. So you all got numbers. Remember your number, but you're more than a number. Pick a name for your team. And then the last thing to do is, as a team, you will have discussed various topics, right, about the capabilities you think are most important for Plug and Play to build in order to achieve the headline that you're passionate about. So out of that, one of those things that your group has spoken about and discussed should feel fairly compelling to the team. You know what? Yeah, how are we going to like train and recruit and keep our best people? Or, yeah, we really need to think about value proposition. Or, yeah, like how do we like work out the incentive structures here or whatever? As a group, it doesn't matter whether it's a HR issue, an ops issue, a sales issue, or whatever. I want you as a group to decide which challenge you feel passionate about taking on for this afternoon. Your facilitator's facilitator's job is to help your group go through this process. So hold them accountable. Say, hey, it's your job to help us through. And after lunch, we're going to hit go. So lunch is like box lunches there. With your groups, feel free to do this outside if you want to get some air, but make sure that we're back in here, rearing and ready to go at...
We have to be here back at 12:15.
12:15?
So this is a working lunch.
12:15.
Yeah, we're gonna be
12:15? Was it 12:15? Was it 12:45?
It's 12. Sorry, 12:45.
Sorry, guys. 12:45, ready to go. And look, I absolutely acknowledge we've asked you to not use your laptops and your phones. Use it for 10 minutes at lunch, okay? So make sure you do the group activity. Facilitators, don't let your group just get stuck in the line. So do the work. When you see there's a break, then go do it. And then we're back here, ready to go at 12:45. All right? Good, good. All right.
Is it 12:15 or 12:45?
Can we have all odd numbers? Odd numbers, you can get food first. Even, stay here. Odd numbers, please line up to get your food first. Thank you.
All right, guys. I apologize. I was wrong. 12:30. Back here, 12:30. 12:30. I hope you had a good lunch. All right, temperature check. If you are feeling a little lost, put your hand up. You guys are all superhuman. I expect most of you feel a little bit lost. Does anyone feel a little bit lost? No? All right, well, that's great. Okay, so here's the thing. This is a fast-moving activity, and we're going to rock through. We're literally going to do a design sprint. That's what they're called. So what that means is, facilitators, I need you to nominate someone who is a scribe at your table. And scribe, if your facilitator ain't facilitating, you're the facilitator, okay? The key is to keep moving through the process, because hey guys. The key here is design thinking is one of these interesting things where it's not algorithmic. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's very intuitive. There's an art to it. You know, whenever you see an amazing artist, they could technically tell you what it is that they're doing, and they could break it down into a process, but they would often probably reject the notion that they're involved in a step-by-step process. They're just doing what they do. They're doing their craft. What we're doing is we're trying to bottle up 40 years of best practice, of research about how to create the environment to generate really, really good ideas, how to actually move ourselves through the mental leaps and steps to understand compelling user needs, how to actually define what those user needs are, and then how to generate ideas that are creative, that aren't just incremental, but that are actually things that no one has actually thought of yet, and then how to bring those things to life. All of those things you could go and get a PhD on. So any thought of you feeling comfortable right now, or that you're going to get everything in every hop, skip, and a jump, or understand why we're doing what we're doing this afternoon, don't even worry. I'm not trying to promise that. I'm not trying to teach you design thinking. No one should walk away from here thinking, oh, wow, I went to a design thinking workshop. I'm a design thinker now. I'm not promising that. You shouldn't just take this and then copy and paste. This is serious stuff. This is a professional discipline. The task this afternoon is we are going to trust the process and trust me that this process works. We're going to do a quick sprint, a hop, skip, and a jump through various moves this afternoon. And it's going to be really quick. So what that means is I need everyone's full focused attention. If you guys find that after 5 minutes, no one has written anything down and you guys aren't moving forward, someone at your table could say, guys, we got to start writing. Okay, could we try that? 1, 2, 3. Guys, yeah, however you say it, right? But that is going to be so important because one of the things, okay, I should not give you permission to talk. All right, here we go. I should not give myself permission to talk sometimes. All right, here we go. So we have been through just a little bit of an icebreaker exercise. We got to know each other. We had a bit of food. We imagined the future. And we've been talking about this idea that Plug and Play has this amazing potential. There's a vision that we all see. And just this broad recognition that what got us here ain't going to get us there. What an amazing opportunity, right? So we get to have an opportunity to help shape what are those strategies that we take forward to get where we need to go. So I know a lot of you may have had a little bit of trouble trying to figure out, hey, how do we pick a design challenge? Here's the 3 things. The best ideas are grounded in a compelling user need. So while, yes, it's an absolute challenge here at Plug and Play about how we engage and equip our corporate partners to get the buy-in from their executive team or implement sandboxes and all of those sorts of things. Those are really, really important challenges. The end users of those challenges are who? Yell it? Oh, hang on. Whoa. So if we're trying to work out a better way for corporate partners to engage their C-suite teams, who is the end user? Corporates. Yes. So are those the kinds of challenges we ought to be taking on with this exercise? No. Could we come up with good ideas? Well, yeah, probably. Why not, right? There's plenty of amazing companies built on speaking to no customers whatsoever, right? But that is luck, right? That's great intuition, right? But even the companies that say they don't listen to customers or had a brand around that, like Apple, Steve Jobs and stuff, gosh, they did. They absolutely did. And they went whole hog on that stuff. And they do. What we're doing today is we're interested in grounding our projects in compelling user needs. You are the experts in the room. So let's talk about your needs. Let's talk about your experiences. So the challenges that we want the groups to choose are these 3 things. 1, something that feels compelling to the team. Something that feels important. Now, you might be in sales, and one of the challenges that might be brought up might be more on the HR side or the ops side. That's totally fine. It's awesome to bring the unique expertise of diverse opinions and perspectives on the team to work on that kind of challenge. It does not have to be a challenge that is common to everyone. Just something that you feel like, hey, I could dedicate an afternoon to working on that thing. 2nd, grounded in a compelling user need. It has to be grounded in someone's story. So one of your team, I'm asking for a volunteer who says, you know what, I'm really passionate about this particular thing. Like, a silly example might be, hey, I'm a vegan. There aren't that many vegan options at lunch. I love the fact that we get $100 gift cards and stuff, but every lunchtime, I just get nuts, right? And people point it out, and they say, Simon, aren't you going to eat anything? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm eating nuts. But, all right, so that's that. Look, maybe that's not the biggest fish to fry, right? But it's grounded in my need. And I'm not like a religious vegan. Like, I don't have a religious commitment. But if I did, I could form the view that Plug and Play isn't a very diverse place, right? I could feel unwelcome. I could feel like my voice isn't heard or that's not the priority. And when we're in a competitive environment where tech companies are falling over each other to get the best talent, maybe that is something that's compelling, right? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Pick something that is grounded in a compelling user need at your table, and of course, only pick something that the person whose experience it is happy to share with you guys for half an hour about. So, this is what we're doing. First activity, discover. Our goal is to find new creative possibilities by really getting to know our end user and to uncover the nuance of their perspectives and values. That's the goal. Just to understand, to listen generously. We're not listening in order to find a solution at this point. We're listening to gain empathy, and there is a huge difference. So once you've found your end user, I know you've already selected a challenge. Put that aside right now. All you need is someone who has a compelling story that they want to share with the team or that they're willing to share, and then generous listeners from you guys to listen to them. So here's why and here's how. The core principle is paying attention to people's unspoken needs releases a wellspring of innovation, of inspiration for innovation. Unspoken needs. Henry Ford said, if I ask people what they want, what they would say is a faster horse. That is the spoken need. The unspoken need. I need a better, safer, cheaper way to get home from work, or to get to the office, or to pick my kids up from school, whatever it is. That's the unspoken need. Someone might say, you know what, I just wish there were more like vegan options here. That might be the spoken need. The unspoken need, I just feel like I don't feel like welcome, like that we're not like embracing the whole, like we say we're a global company, but it doesn't feel like we're really global in certain ways. Maybe that's the unspoken need. Our task is just to listen generously to people's stories so that the unspoken need bubbles to the surface, and that's an intuitive jump, right? That's Henry Ford, by the way. That's Steve Jobs. I've already spoken about those. How do we do it? There's many ways of gaining empathy. In design research, we do observations, like we watch people. The most predictive way of working out whether someone's going to buy a product is to watch how they react. You know, this is Facebook's entire business model is based on getting people to react to stuff, so they can sell the data to companies who will take advantage of that information, right? That's behavioral insights. You can watch people, you can observe people, you can listen to people's stories, and that's what we're going to do today. Story sharing is an incredibly powerful tool. Why do we listen to stories? This is about stories, not interviews. This is not about getting facts. And the reason is, when you're listening to facts, you're engaging parts of your brain that are those kind of professional parts that assume what the problem is and go straight to a solution. That's the brain that's activated when you're listening to facts. But the brain that's activated when you're listening to stories is literally the empathic parts. Like, you start to experience what they experience. You start to feel what they feel. You start to care in ways that you didn't care about the problem before. And you literally start to see things that you didn't see before. And when we're talking about the compelling challenges of Plug and Play and where our most compelling design opportunities are, what we want is to find those latent things, the real challenges that exist behind the things. I want to work from home, but what's the latent need? I get that's the patent need, that's the spoken need. What's the latent need? That's what we're after. How do we get there? Through sharing stories. So, story sharing etiquette. I get it. There might be partners who are texting you, whatever. For this part, it is so important just to put the phones and the laptops away. Just do it for half hour. If someone picks out a phone during the session, just gently say, like, in fact, we won't need to do it. Everyone's going to do it. The idea is to honor people's courage to share something that might be deeply personal to them. You know, you spend the majority of your life at work, and some of the stuff that we're going to probably talk about might be personal and might be somewhat triggering. And what we want to do amongst our table is honor that moment and create safe space at the table. There's a sacred space I need you to create. And if you want to win the prize at the end, did we mention what the prizes were? Oh, that's pretty fun. Yeah, for the best 2 ideas. Like, yeah, oh, we didn't mention that. Okay, we'll mention it later. Anyway, forget that. Forget what I said that. What's the prize? It's a good one. Think of it as a conversation. Ask for stories. So, not factoids. Could you tell me a story about that? What was the best experience like? Or what was the worst experience like? What happened next? What happened next? Get them to walk you through their experience, their journey, with whatever the challenge is that you guys want to talk about. Obviously, don't push them to answer anything they're uncomfortable with. All right, so here's how it works. In the user guide, let's walk through it. I feel like I should have walked through this a little bit more in detail before the break. Here we go. Find new creative possibilities by really getting to know your end user. So firstly, choose 1 or 2 people to lead the conversation. Maybe just one person, maybe with a second person. Everyone else, pull your post-it notes out and write down notes as you're listening to their story. It's going to, look, we've got a lot of people here, so honor the space. So please don't get all rowdy and stuff. We're going to have to try and keep it hush-hush, but we can do it, right? We're smart people. We understand what we're trying to achieve here. So try and be respectful of the moment. One person leading the interview, the interviewee telling the story, everyone else taking notes on post-it notes. 1 idea per post-it note. Use headlines. Don't write in a little ballpoint pen because no one will see it ever again. What you're looking for is direct quotes, observations about body language, anything that stands out. Just listen generously. It's just about understanding and building empathy. That's the first part. And that will go for about 25 minutes or so. That's the interview. After the interview, I'll then bring you back. And so when I sound the gong, I need you to be really, really good and just say, you know what? I know we've got this whole neural connection stuff and we're all really getting to the story, but we understand that this is all about moving us forward. So hush, hush, hush. I'll tell you how to do the next thing and we'll cruise through. And the next setup's going to be a lot shorter than this one. All right? Okay, so what do you do now? Maybe you're in a position you're like, hey, we haven't really chosen a challenge. That's okay. Just find someone at your group who has a compelling challenge at Plug and Play that they'd like to talk about and that they're willing to share about amongst the team, and the team is generally willing to talk about that topic. That's all you need to do. Second, select someone to lead the interview. You have an interview guide here. You have an interview guide. It sort of will show you the anatomy of the interview. Get to know them. Warm up. Don't go too fast. Get to know them as people. Then ask for stories. And then dig a little bit deeper. Ask why. Why was that a challenge? What were you trying to achieve by that? What was your emotional state through that journey? Okay? Everyone else taking notes. And then we're going to story share back. And I think that's a task. All right. Let's try not to get too rowdy, but you got 25 minutes. Let's go for this bit. Elegant with it is trying to find that Goldilocks zone where it's not too broad, not too narrow, you know? How might we help partner success people feel empowered? Is great in that you've defined the user. We know you're trying to do something around empowerment, but where? In what context? It might be just a squidgen too broad, right? So bring it a little bit more narrow. So we feel like we're moving in that compelling direction. Now, if you still don't feel like you have some vague sense of who you're designing for, what's the human need you're solving for, and why that's important, please come and get me as soon as I stop talking, which will be in 2 minutes, okay? The cool thing is, even if you feel like your group is like last in the pack right now, there is time to get right to the front of the pack. And as a little, like we didn't mention the prizes, but I do know that I was down at the Apple store last night, late. And I do know that Syed's excited about lunch with the 2 winning teams as well. And I do know that there is a commitment from the leadership that the winning teams will be given support to incubate those ideas as part of an evaluative process and to get room and space to work on those ideas over the next year. So those are 3 pretty decent carrots. And if you say, look, the idea that I'm working on isn't something that I'd be really passionate about working on, that's totally cool because we'll take them and we'll run with them. And there'll be an invitation later after today that if working on these kinds of challenges is of interest to you, we'll work out a way to plug you in. Plug you in. Ha ha ha. All right. Define. So we've been from learning about a user in generous terms without throwing away our conceptions about what the problem is and just listening to their experience. You might have found that you started off with one problem and now you've sort of reframed it into a different one that feels compelling, that feels important. And actually, that's the real thing that we should be solving for. That's representative of this much larger problem. Let's solve for that one. That's exactly what this process is designed to do. From define, where do we go now? Okay. So design thinking kind of goes in this like little like seesaw thing. Like we start diverging, and so we would leave our preconceptions behind, and we explore the space in this generative fashion to explore the user need by listening to people, and then we kind of go into this like this analytical convergent mode where we're defining the problem that we're trying to solve, and now we're about to turn the corner and start going out again. So away from analysis and into the world of idea generation through our develop phase. So the ideation zone. So what we're going to do is we're going to generate an extremely wide and wild and wacky and very wide array of potential solutions to your design challenge. We're going to get some feedback from the team. We're going to select the most promising to take forward. Nice and simple. How do we do that? I come up with ideas all the time. Well, I'm going to teach you a slightly different way of doing it, which is a really, really effective way of generating really high-quality ideas. So how do we do it? So the best way to have a great idea is to have a lot of them. Brainstorming gets knocked in the literature and the business literature. I know it's been in vogue to like rag on it lately. It's true. Brainstorming is, by and large, completely ineffective and demotivating to teams. That's true. Why is that true? Most people have no idea how to run a brainstorming session. You see, brainstorming was invented by a guy named Alex Osborne in the 1940s. And he was an advertising executive, and he noticed that when he got his team together to really focus and laser focus on an idea and created certain rules that everyone would abide by, they were really, really effective in generating ideas. And he kind of likened it to like an army, like a SEAL Team 6 storming an idea. And that's why it's called brainstorming. Trouble is, most people don't know what those rules are, and so they just proceed willy-nilly. And most people walk away from brainstorming sessions feeling like they like the person next to them less and generated less ideas than they walked in with. Anyone had that experience? Just me? Come on, be honest. There we go. Yeah, exactly. All right. Has anyone heard these at Plug and Play? It's too radical a change. We're not ready for it. I'm not saying you're wrong. The CEO will never go for it. I've never heard that. Oh, a CLM is a career-limiting move. Like this one. Not at all. Don't touch that one. We've tried it. Maybe next year. We're not ready. All those things. All of these things are just idea killers. Like, it's cultural terrorism in a sense. Because what you're basically saying is, we can't do that. What I'm inviting you to consider is that if it's true that Plug and Play has a bold vision and that we're all here to create real impact for people, for the planet, for profit, for the bottom of the line, and if it's also true that the capabilities that we need to build and the kind of organization that's capable of capturing that opportunity is not where we're up to, these have just got to go. And I will say to you, not one organization that I worked with across the many while we were doing management consulting got rid of these. These exist in every organization. You're never going to get rid of them. You're always going to have the cultural antibodies that come in to destroy anything that's new. It's very natural. Organizations aren't designed to change. Organizations are designed to optimize, right? They're not designed to evolve. That's why so many don't last, right? So it's not about getting rid of these. It's about acknowledging them and then having the courage to push through, imagine the future, and design specific processes to help you learn and grow, right? I've been saying I'm going to get a six-pack for 10 years. It's never happened. It's probably not going to happen unless I do something about it, right? I've got to be intentional. Yes, we're running behind. Here we go. All right, here we go. 6 rules for brainstorming. Here's how to generate a good idea. Defer judgment. So what does that mean? There are no bad ideas. For the next half hour, there are no bad ideas. If someone says, just say, there are no bad ideas. We're moving on. Go for quantity. It's not about the quality of the idea. It's about the quantity of the idea. Get your ideas out there. The best way to get a good idea is to have many of them. Wild is welcome. Think about the future. Think about what you could do with $1 million, $10 million, $100 million. How would Disney approach this problem? How would Elon Musk approach this problem? Think wild and crazy. It's much easier to tamper down an idea than to bring it up. Build on the ideas of others. Think in terms of yes and. If you don't like an idea, challenge yourself to make it better. Stay on target, one conversation at a time through this. Let's be focused. Let's be targeted. Let's storm this idea challenge. And show, don't tell. Draw a picture rather than a headline. But if you can't think of a picture, draw a headline rather than a sentence. Does that make sense? Okay. Here we go. In your teams, grab your Post-it note out. So the first thing you're going to do is decide, if you haven't already decided what our design challenge is, just pick one. For the sake of time, just go, how about this? Everyone agreed? Yes, we can tackle this. Doesn't matter if it's like perfect or too wide, too narrow. Don't worry about that. Just pick something and go for it. Then, individually, draw 3 to 5 ways to solve your problem statement individually. It's really important. Just think quietly to yourself, draw 5 ideas on Post-it notes. Get them out. That should take you 30 seconds. 30 seconds, seriously. Then take turns sharing your idea. No essays, just say, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. Next, we could do this, we could do this. While you're doing that, pop it on your Post-it note board. If there are similar ideas, group them. And then once you've gone round, what I want you to do is elevate the voice of your end user and allow them to offer some feedback and critique. More of this, less of this, more of this, less of this. The end result after, we're going to have to cut it down to like 15 minutes, which is totally enough time. The end result will be a concept, a general sense of the direction you want to go. Not a fully vetted out solution, but a general sense of, I feel like it's a technology thing, or I feel like it's a processy thing. What if we did this? Maybe you're going to get further than that. But that's the idea, a general sense, a general direction of the solution that is a potential solution to your user-driven problem. Does that make sense? All right, if you have no idea what you're doing and where you're going, come find me. I'm going to be around here, and then I'll come work with you. But 90% of you are rocking and rolling, so just go, go, go. Build to learn, get the ideas down, and we'll get on to the next thing. All right? Let's go. It's. Did you notice what happened to your brain just then? Did you notice how different it is to be in a generative mode to an analytical mode? The define phase of trying to get to what is the real problem to solve is literally a muscle. It is literally a muscle. That's why it feels so hard, right? That's why, I've got, 8-10 years of this stuff under my belt, and so, you tell me the story and go, well, it's kind of like this, blah, 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 and you're on your way, right? It's a skill that you develop. So it's not meant to feel like easy. Like, this is nuanced stuff. We are learning a new skill, and in fairness, this is not a training. This is a design sprint. We're just trusting the process and rocking through. So, well done. And the energy that happens in idea generation is so much fun. So, where are you now? Right now, you have a smattering of ideas, and you've got a semblance of which kind of solution set, which idea or collection of ideas feels like probably could be the most impactful against your design challenge or for your user. It's also possible that through the course of listening to your user, thinking about the challenges and generating ideas, that you stumble upon an idea that's kind of separated, 1 or 2 steps removed from your user, but that feels really important and compelling, and you're all excited about that. There's one group who decided, you know what? Screw what Simon said. I'm going to find end users in the cafeteria, and let's go interview them. So they're off doing that, which is great. So we're in different zones. But what we're doing now in this final bit is, so we've gone broad, we've explored a whole bunch of different solutions, and now we're about to turn the corner and start narrowing really, really quick. Now you might say, Simon, we're not ready to narrow very quickly because we have no idea where we're up to. We've got all kinds of different directions. That's cool. That's why we turn the corner and move into this section. It's a forcing function to move the design process forward. So don't feel like you have to be wherever you think you need to be. Trust me, you're going to get to where you need to go. So what are we doing? Bring your idea to life. So build a concept storyboard that captures the end-to-end experience. Refine your thinking about your solution across 3 dimensions: desirability, feasibility, viability. What does that mean? All right, here we go. There's this concept called rapid prototyping. In engineering, a prototype is an early version of the end product, right? It's kind of like a beta version. In design, prototyping is very, very different. Prototyping is a way of testing the assumptions behind the idea, almost in sacrificial terms. You're putting it out there to learn more about the solution, more about the users, and more about the context before you put any resources into testing whether this idea is good or not. It's a learning process. There are many ways to prototype. You can build physical objects, an artifact, an app, a wireframe, whatever. You could build an experience. You could simulate something. You could do a storyboard, like a comic strip, where you say, here's where it begins, here's where the user encounters the new solution, here's how they interact with it, and here's the end state. And the idea is to show people, not tell people. Has anyone had the experience where you've got a brilliant idea, you go to your boss at Plug and Play or wherever, and you say, I've got this brilliant idea. What I want to do is X, Y, Z. And then they give you 10 reasons why it's a bad idea, and you don't feel like they're critiquing the idea that you actually have? Anyone ever had that? You walk away thinking, they're wrong, this is a really good idea. And they walk away going, thank goodness I gave them good feedback. The reason that happens is because you have a bunch of connective tissue in your brain behind the idea. In your mind, you've got concepts and stories and value propositions. You've seen it from all kinds of different perspectives. And by using words, the idea literally got lost in translation. You were engaging one part of their brain when what you really wanted to do is engage all those other parts of the brain. This is why a storyboard or an experience or a prototype, this is why we show ideas, don't tell ideas. Don't write them in an email. Show them how it's going to work. Walk them through it. Then they'll have that aha moment. That's what we're going to practice doing now. It's also an amazing forcing function to get the team rallied behind, guys, we've got half an hour. What are we going to come up with? And how is it actually going to work? You can also do a role play. So a role play is kind of like taking the storyboard and actually simulating it in real life. And I'll tell you what, in terms of pitches, you've got 2 minutes. But within that pitch, it would be really, really cool if actually some of you could actually show us, make it compelling. Like, what's the problem you're trying to solve? How do you simulate that? And then maybe you pitch the actual idea. Or you just show us what the idea is and we'll have our own aha moments about it. All right. What makes for a great idea? 3 elements. This is actually based in research. The most innovative products have 3 elements. 1, they meet a compelling human need. It doesn't matter if it's a consumer device or an enterprise solution. They meet a compelling human need. You're creating something that people value. 2, feasible. What that means is it leverages what's possible with technology and respects context. Technology and context. Is it possible? Now, I understand the idea killers push through the idea killers. What makes business sense for Plug and Play? Can we do this? Viable is all about impact. Does it create impact that can be measured in human or financial terms? All right, let's rock and roll. All right, that's the innovation. All right, so here we go. 15 minutes for this exercise. I know I said 25, but you guys are rocking and rolling. So create a concept storyboard. Show us how it works. So start from the beginning. What is the first state? Where do you find your user? How do they interact with this new product, service, solution, whatever it is that you're built? How does it work? What does it do? And then what's the end result? Concept storyboard. Walk us through the end-to-end experience. And then the second one is just think about, are we meeting a compelling user need? Is it possible with technology? And what's the business value of this idea? All right? 1, 2, 3, rock and roll.
You can see them in there. So big round of applause to everybody and to the winners. And so we have a tank full of sharks. And so please help me welcome, what is the mama shark do? No, it's Saeed Amidi, like the papa shark. And so we get Neda, Candace, Ivan, George, Michael, Alireza, so which are obviously part of our leadership team. But because we feel that we should balance the shark, we invited our winners, the winners of our peer-to-peer recommendation to balance the shark tank. So we have 2 baby sharks. And so please welcome baby shark Takako. And welcome baby shark Raina. Very good. Sharks, just want to remind you, you now will listen the best teams for 2 minutes and cast your votes. You have your apps ready and you will vote using exactly the same methodology. So you're voting on 3 criteria. Desirability. Is it something that it is going to help what we're doing? Viability. Is it possible to do it with the resources that we have? And again, I emphasize, I am not asking, is Saeed going to go for it? Saeed, you have only 1 vote. And so, last, feasibility. Is it really possible? Can we make it happen? And so, the startups, please do your best on this pitch. Remember that the winners will win a nice little prize. They will also have the opportunity to share the table with Saeed at Sharon Heights for a personal lunch. I mean, I know that we all feel that this is a granted privilege because we all sit with Saeed every now and then. This does not happen everywhere. And so just wanted to let you know that it here is really fun. And then the most important, you will really go into creating a task force to implement your idea. So that's the reason why we're doing this, because we want to take the bull by the horns. And so your idea, it's going to get throughout the year and try to get those things implemented. So you will have a mentor to assist with the project, and Ned is going to give us a little bit more details about how it's going to go. But so without further ado, I want to call and start getting where our, again, just repeat the 3 criteria parameters: desirability, viability, and feasibility. You got them all there. And so, slide ready, you all have it. Sharks, very good. Baby sharks, ready? Okay, very good. So let's go and get going. 2 minutes. And so I'm going to get so it's the same rules, where it's 2 minutes. Very good. And I'm going to call 2 minutes when it is happening, and then you have just a 10-second leeway to make closing statements in case there is kind of like a little overlap. And so with that said, let's get Team 30 here. Please remember. State your name, and then go for your pitch.
Only vote for the first team, and then you don't have to vote after that.
Just the Sharks. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Raise your hand if at some point during your plug-and-play career there were moments, or there was a moment where you didn't feel fully included. All right? I think it should be everybody. I personally have felt that way, and I know certainly there's a lot of people here, especially people from an operations role, or from maybe a minority group that is not as well represented, who have felt this way. So our team is on a mission to create a more inclusive culture and break down silos across the organization. And the way that we want to do that is by creating groups and initiatives around the things that we're most passionate about. So in my opinion, one of the most important initiatives that has started since I joined Plug and Play was Found Her. And I think we should double down on initiatives like that and start employee resource groups like big tech firms have, or ERGs as they're called, around other groups maybe that you could use support at Plug and Play. When I was an intern at Google, I participated in some of those employee resource groups, and it was a great opportunity to network with other people across the organization that I would never have access to. Moreover, we think we should start social clubs at Plug and Play where we can come around a specific idea that's outside of work. We can have a cooking club, a book club, a Chinese club, and these are very feasible, very simple solutions, and we can connect people across teams who have interest in those areas. And it definitely can create a better culture where we can increase employee morale and ultimately, and more importantly, increase retention across the organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. Sharks, ready? 3, 2, 1, vote. Submit your votes. 3 criteria. Thank you so very much. Okay. Very good. Our next presenter, team number 18. Coming over, team 18. I know, but it's okay.
It's okay, surprise. Hello, everyone. When you want.
3, 2, 1, go.
So when I joined Plug and Play, on my very first day, I remember Said in this meeting, telling someone off, but also saying something that I found very important. At Plug and Play, we do one product. We matchmake startups and corporates, and we do this thing and we scale it globally, which I thought it was great. And so when I went to Italy, I realized how important it is to have the same model that we can scale everywhere. But what happens? We work with so many corporates that they have different needs, and they're not always ready to work with startups. So they ask us for so many different things. And so we started doing innovation days, workshops, university courses, design thinking, so many different things. And when I started in Italy, I thought, what are the best ways to cater to those demands and sell more, well, I didn't know who to ask. So I had to ask a lot of different offices worldwide and try to gather the best practices myself. And I'm sure so many people have to do the same. And I think this is a big problem, because if we don't know what there's not going to be one more plug and play, but many different ones. But it's also a big opportunity to sell more to corporates and have even more revenues in the long term. So what we think is key is to create a central product team. So a team of people that updates all the resources, the material coming from different offices, so from the bottom up, but then top down, it can share the knowledge of what actually are the best practices to cater to our corporate partners, beyond matchmaking. We think that this solution is pretty feasible, because at the end of the day, you have to just create a team centrally, empowered to have this possibility. It's very desirable because as we grow, retaining partners is going to be key. And so catering to those needs and making sure they're ready to work with startups is going to be fundamental. And it's not just viable, it's about the viability of the company. Because if we have one platform, one product, and we scale it, it's super profitable. If we start diverging and doing 1,000 different things, I think we lose a bit of the one plug-and-play spirit. So we need a central product team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pardon me, Tarek, I forgot to tell you, we're going to allow one question. If you really need further clarification on the subject. And so if the Sharks have a question, just raise your hand when we finish the presentation. Just raise your hand and make that question. So any questions for Andrea? We're cool? Very good. Okay. Please help me welcome team number 25. Woo, 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 woo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Connie Weissman, and I've been at Plug and Play for a long time. And you know what? I'm even older than Saeed. So, ha. But just by a few months. Anyway, so today, I want to talk to you about a common problem that we all have. Communication, and maybe this siloed communication. We have the most incredible assets here at Plug and Play. People that know so much about all their topics, the trends. I'm always amazed by what I'm learning every day. But a lot of times, I don't have access to that information. Sometimes I'm in the restroom and I heard that we closed a $100 million fund. Or maybe Nike's downstairs. Aren't you tired of that? Don't you want to be in the know? I do. You know why? Because the more we know, the better we can service our corporate clients. And that means more revenue. And that means Plug and Play gets bigger and better every time. So, who's on the journey with me? Come on. Yeah. And you know what? We can do this. And the best part, I think it even can happen by Monday. You know why? Because it's really not a digital solution. It's more about putting somebody in place that their whole focus is on communications and relaying the communications, not only here in Silicon Valley, but in every location. So there'll be a chief communications officer, somebody who knows what's happening, who's in the know, and information can come in, but most importantly, when you identify something that would be important to one of our locations, we can call up Sasha in Stuttgart and say, hey, guess what? This could be super cool for you. So we're communicating both ways. It's a bespoke model. I think this is the future. I want everybody on board. This can happen. We can even throw in Playbook, like put that stuff on the digital platform too, because you know we have it. So you know what? Let's work together. Let's make this happen. This is going to be a great, great success. Here we go. Chief Communications.
Drop the mic. Very good. Vote. 3, 2, 1, vote. Any questions, Sharks? Cannot be clearer, right? Very good. So please help me welcome Team 34. Woo, 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 woo.
Got the whole crew up here. Excellent. Hi, everyone. We're Team Super Minorities, and we're here to present to you how we're going to become one of the top 10 employers in the Bay Area by 2021. How do we do that? We start by focusing on our people first. At the core, we want to implement 3 actions that we can help support our folks here at Plug and Play. One aspect of it would be implementing a comprehensive review system. This would be a top-down and bottom-up review system, somewhat similar to a 360 review process. This would drive accountability throughout our whole organization from the bottom up. Beyond that, we want to implement a peer-to-peer solution for everyone to take advantage of. This would take effect in 2 aspects. One would be peer-to-peer management time, which would be allocated from the top and incentivize management to talk to each other and share best practices or problems that they're encountering. Beyond that, we would want to hire all of our new employees as part of a new employee cohort, which would be horizontal, and this would drive communication across all verticals as those employees grow through our company. Finally, we want to create a notion of developing pathways for folks at our company. This would start with education and developing promotional pathways for everyone who joins Plug and Play, and we would follow that up with mentorship and an understanding around clear compensation that they can achieve within our company. This would drive transparency for Plug and Play as a whole. At our core, by empowering these people, we can build teams that will then support the greatest culture that we can develop at our company, finally driving impact and performance for Plug and Play globally, and that's how we become a top 10 employer in the Bay Area by 2021. Any questions?
And we're the best looking team.
No question about it. Very good. The hottest team on the stage. Questions, everybody? I don't know about you guys, but this is really compelling. It's like, obviously, there are some things that are a little bit more complicated than others to execute, but I guess it's an awesome exercise. So please, where are we? Team 19 is the next one? Very good. Please help me welcome Team 19. Remember to say your name if you chose the name.
Hi, everyone. I'm a new hire here at Plug and Play.
Mona, I need your help. Do you know by any chance who our 3 most important partners in Brazil are? And even more important, can you tell me where I can find the signed documents we had with them?
You know what? I honestly have no idea. I've been trying to find templates. I've been trying to find flyers for different locations. And I've been asked to reach out to program managers in different locations, and I have no idea who to contact.
That's really sad.
Our solution is going to answer questions for Mona, who's a new employee, as to who is the program manager in Dubai, or Abu Dhabi in that fact. Or Steve, who is a new employee on the legal team. Where are the corporate contracts for Brazil partners? Wouldn't it be nice if there was a single source of truth? Hi, I'm Kia, and I'm your Ventures Associate. With my teammates George, Corey, Mona, and Steve, we're here to present Omni, the Google-like search tool for all plug-and-play data. Omni is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, the all-powerful, all-knowing, all-present knowledge base. Omni is a search bar that sits on Playbook and that will answer all your questions, whether you're a new employee or a veteran. Omni is going to help you answer questions like, who is my HR representative? Who is my counterpart in Japan? When are the program dates in China? Look, we grew fast. We doubled year over year. Plug and Play is siloed. Let Omni be the one that brings us together. Thank you.
And most likely you have never heard that, right? Very good. Very good. So please, questions, anybody? Sharks, are we doing good? Submitted your votes? Very good. Please help me welcome. Put your hands together for team number 6. Woo-woo. Chop, chop, team. Huh? I'll give you a 30-second mark.
Perfect.
Okay.
You want to choose? You start us. You start us off.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Miles, and I'm a representative of our team. We're Team 6, and our name is Scholard Greens.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for us being here right now. We didn't think that was going to happen, so yeah. Also, so I know we've asked that multiple times today, but can you please close your eyes? I know you guys are like, no, not again. But please do it, just 2 seconds, and think about, have you done work here at Plug and Play that has not been fully recognized? Please raise your hand. Thank you. Keep your eyes closed and have some people done some work, even if it's not really important work, but has it been recognized by someone, like someone else has been recognized for it? And you can open your eyes now, and I didn't say that on the first meeting, but a lot of people raise their hands, and I think that's an issue, and we all think it's an issue, and we should probably solve that.
And the thing I'll add to that is also from the manager side. I know for myself, there have been times where I've been in a management position and I had blind spots and I wasn't even aware of these blind spots. And so this is exactly what we wanted to address. So we came up with a 5-part system on how to address this. Number one, once at any moment that someone gets into a management position, they immediately go into a management training where they get taught everything they need to know about managing a team. After that, their role is redefined. They're no longer incentivized to be an individual. They're incentivized to make their team successful. They'll have new KPIs set. And then lastly, there'll be a feedback system together with their employees. So there's anonymous feedback on how the manager is doing. And the manager will meet with the C-suite periodically to make sure that that manager is addressing this feedback so that we don't lose key personnel. So I think that what I'll end with is there's a cost to everything. What we need to ask ourselves is, what is the cost of not taking any action? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Questions, Sharks? Are we doing well? Very good, wonderful. And so our next team, team number 10, please come on over.
Ready? 3, 2, go. It's Monday morning. It's already 9 a.m. and Zoe is driving in her car. She's already an hour late because a duck wandered onto the freeway. She pulls in. Now she's unhappy. She's unproductive. She's frustrated. She goes in to confront her manager.
Aaron, there must be a better way to do this. I was in a call with the China team until 2 a.m. in the morning, and I had to get up at 6 a.m. to get my makeup done because I look like a panda with 4 hours sleep. And my baby was crying all night long. I'm frustrated. There must be a better way. Tell me, Aaron. Tell me right now.
Zoe, I want to help you, but our core hours are 8 to 5.
I mean, look at them. The employees unhappy, the managers really frustrated. There has to be a better way.
We are 10-10. Team 10 for 10 hours, flexible work from home.
But guys, but who will care?
Raise your hand if you take late night calls after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or 7 o'clock. Raise your hand if you're a new parent.
Okay, sounds cool, but how it will work?
It's very simple. All of us here are adults. All of us have a strong trust between each other. We work in small teams. Me as a manager, I trust my team members. They're my biggest asset. They deliver, I'm happy.
Okay, but like what will be the outcome of all of this?
More smiles, better results.
Woo!
That was cool acting, guys. That's a tough act to follow. Very good. We have Team 9. Any questions on the Sharks for this last team? We're good? Okie dokie. So we have team number 9. Please, let's go. Big round of applause.
Thank you, Jackie. So, all these other teams have been telling you about solutions that cannot be implemented right now. Solutions that are...
Bring it in.
Hey, you
got 2
interpreted
minutes.
my meaning with that, so that's on you. All of these other teams are proposing solutions for corporate partners. We are proposing something that will change drastically your week starting tomorrow. And what's more, Sharks, it's not going to cost you anything. It doesn't take any technical talent to implement, and you will see an immediate increase in productivity with your employees.
All right, so with that intro, good morning, Mr. Wonderful. What we propose, actually first, let me ask a question. Who here, raise your hand, feels that the morning meetings are run as efficiently as possible? As efficiently as possible. So, Hutch, okay, you don't count. Who here is aware that we're breaking up into functions? So we are now breaking into a sales function, a ops function, a ventures function, and a partner success function. Netta, she's aware. I don't know if she should be the only one aware of that. I think everyone should be aware of that. So what we propose is having our ordinary Monday meeting. That does not change, but the vertical specific meetings change. How they change? Each week, throughout the month, is broken up into different functions. Week 1, sales. Week 2, ops. Week 3, ventures. Week 4, we'll have everyone in the room. And also, big change, only directors are in this. What this allows is for directors to have the hard conversations with Saeed that need to happen. If there's someone on my team that's not happy, or there's someone not performing, and he asks me, and that person's standing in the room, I'm not going to be able to give actual feedback. With 15 directors in the room, plus these 4 functional directors, we'll be able to have the tough conversations we need to have. Additionally, my team can give me an agenda before. Nate, we need to discuss this, this, and this. After the meeting, we'll have a sync with each vertical. So each vertical talks to their team, brings back the information that they heard from Saeed to the team. What this means, more money for everyone, happier people. Implementation, there's 0 cost. It's easy to implement. ROI is easy to calculate, I think. We have happier employees, and there's also no technical diligence. Anyone can do this. We don't need an engineer to figure it out.
Bet on Team Tiger Cat. It will literally cost you nothing.
That was really cool. We have a wild card, and this wild card was an extra that deserved to be called as well. So please, coming over to Team 13, is that correct? Very good. Team 13, coming over.
Thank you, Jackie. Yes, we're Group 13, and our team name is Floor 13, because when you go in a hotel, you go from floor 12 to floor 14. You skip floor 13. We're not supposed to exist, yet here we are. We're on the stage where we're supposed to be. And our team mascot is the unicorn, because supposedly it's a mythical creature that doesn't exist. It's not really there. But at Plug and Play, we know we can turn the impossible into reality. So, suppose that I'm a corporate partner and I've just gotten my top 100 list. I've sent in a lot of votes and I've voted some 4s and some 5s. Let's hear it for the 4s. Okay, now let's hear it for the 5s. I like the 5s a lot more too. I agree with you. But let's see what happens when I go to selection day, because I know there's other corporates voting on these startups as well. Let's see who I get to actually meet with. Oh no, I didn't get to see any of my top choices, but I got to see this 4, maybe another 4, but I didn't get to see any of my 5s. So what can we do about this? Well, we've already moved our top 100 voting from spreadsheets and Excel to Playbook. What if when I vote on a 4 or a 5, I get a simple pop-up that says, do I want to make this connection? I click on a button, and then I'm able to meet with you, you, and you. I get to meet with every one of my choices, for sure, at Selection Day, no questions asked, and we can turn our wasteful sourcing into something productive. Our ventures team is sourcing thousands of companies every single year. Let's make sure that all of it is utilized. We get more connections, more meetings, more pilots, and make Plug and Play a better place for all. Thank you.
Very good. So, just a last request. Any questions from Tarek, for Tarek? Any more questions or any questions for any of these teams? Very good. Sharks, baby sharks, please submit your votes. And guys, this was fun. I mean, it's obviously very creative ideas. And it was super, super fun to hear because as Simon mentioned, sometimes we create things that we think are what are needed in the organization without taking in consideration what you guys are thinking. And so thank you so much for being so brave to share with us and to put your heart out there for the betterment of our company. So I really thank you. You deserve all a big round of applause for working so hard. So while we tally our votes, if we could join, please. Neda, why don't you come? She should, yeah.
I just want to make a comment.
Yeah.
Quickly. While we're tallying votes, I just want to correct something I said earlier. Earlier during the panel, I called out Sobhan and talked about how sales were more men and operations were more women, and I am completely wrong. That was a very outdated thing. It's something that he and I talked about a year ago, and he pointed out he's got 5 men in operations and he's got 5 women in sales. And so, Sobhan, I love you. I'm so sorry. He's really done a wonderful job evening the playing field and really getting the best people in the best jobs. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you for the clarification. It was worth it. Vindicated, Mr. Zobam.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, everyone. That was very exciting because we've been talking about this for quite some time now, and to actually see it all work. And Simon could tell you, and also Jennifer and the rest of the team, they were quite hesitant initially as to whether this could be possible, and we all pushed each other to really get to where we are today. And it was amazing to see us finish it, and also to finish early. So I'm going to make my part of the talk very quick while we tally up the votes. But just to talk to you about the next steps, and I'm missing a clicker.
Somebody took the clicker?
Yes. It's a nice clicker.
Can anybody check your pockets?
Thank you, Rainer. Perfect. So what happens now? I'm sure you're all wondering, and we've alluded to it a few times. So now what we'll do is the All Hands Task Force, which I'll name later, will carry the 2 finalist ideas into planning and implementation. So we'll work really closely with Simon and Jennifer to take these ideas into implementation and really go into execution mode with the top 2. We will also take, I'm blanking on the name of the sheet, the magic sheet, the awesomeness sheet. Yes, awesomeness declaration. We will take that where you submitted all of your ideas, and we will look at those, group them together, and also consider all of those as potential plans as well, and try to combine them also into categories where maybe they have some commonality with some of the finalists as well. You will also be assigned the two finalists, a mentor from the leadership team. And then we'll seriously look at all the other pitches as well. If you are interested in getting involved, but your group was not selected, come talk to us as well. We're happy to involve everyone in the process of executing on these projects. So please come and talk to any of us. I think I have slides. Oh, not yet. Next, we really want to make sure we get your feedback. So we'll have a slide up that will have the Slido link for feedback on the all hands. We want to make sure that we get your feedback today, and then we'll also do a more official survey following. We're also going to film people, so if you're interested in providing a quick testimonial to the marketing team, we want to do a cool wrap-up video of the Plug and Play All Hands, so to find Allison and Caroline to provide a short interview. And then really now is this slide. None of this would have been possible without an amazing team. So I want the last 10 days, this team has spent nights and weekends putting together this amazing program for us today. Everything from the German precision on timing and making sure that we end on time, in fact early, to everything from the program that we had with the workshop and all the materials that are sitting in front of you. I'd like to ask the entire All Hands team to come on stage so we can all thank them together. I'm going to list them. So Astrid, Caroline, Allison, Caroline and Allison, Jennifer, who's not here, but we'd like to thank her, Hamid, Katharina, Ben Hart, Jackie, Simon, Laura Miller, Lauren Robinson, and Allison and Caroline. Please come up. And Rainer as well, yes. Let's get a quick picture. Get a picture. Thank you, everyone. And also the events team that's actually executing on an amazing Chinese New Year meal. So we'll have a Chinese-themed meal outside. So also thank you to them. But thank you all for putting together an impossible event today. And get ready, this will be one of many. So we look forward. This was the first all hands that we did as a task force, and I'd like to also thank the management team in trusting us to do this one time. And based on the feedback, hopefully this will be many of these sessions to come, and we won't wait another year for it. So with that, I'm ready for the awards. Okay. So these are all the team members. Okay, so we actually had, instead of 2 winners, we had 3 winners. Oh, wait, what? Oh, so this is second place I'm reading. Okay, so apologies. We have, it's the same, but just a misunderstanding. So our runner-ups are Team 19. Okay, and then Team, Omni. Good name. And then we also had Team 10. That was work from home. Work hours, flex work hours. Good energy. And then team 9. Which one was that? That was Miles. No. Was that? That was the morning meetings. I'm a big fan of that one. Yes. Okay, we have to do another drum roll. Okay, and the final winner, and we're calling these the Catalyst Awards, is team number 34. And I'd like to ask all the teams to come up. The finalists come up first. No? 34 to come up first. They're getting, what?
Implementing top 10 employer in Silicon Valley by 2021.
So to give credit where credit is due, that was Christy's idea, the newest addition, one of the newest additions to the travel team. And the delivery was this gentleman's idea, who I found out today he's a sailor. He was actually a professional sailor prior to joining Plug and Play. And I truly do believe we are the best looking team. What's that?
Oh yeah, we're missing one.
We're missing one good-looking person. It's a lady. Her name is Risa. She had to leave.
And before I conclude my portion, I just want to make sure to thank, maybe just explain what people get. But so the first place, they got noise canceling AirPod Pros. Yes. They got a lunch with Saeed and the sharks. Saeed invited all the sharks to lunch as well. And opportunity to work on their idea throughout the year. So that was for first place. And then the runner-ups also get a lunch with Saeed and an opportunity to work on the idea, and both will also have mentors assigned as well. And just wanted to also thank everyone in the audience for participating. I know it's been a very long day. It's, I think, 4:30, and your participation has been outstanding. We've done some of these with corporate partners, and I would say I've seen engagement, but not this level of engagement, and also the passion that everyone carried when they were pitching. So thank you all for your participation and your openness and your courage. And with that, I'd like to welcome Saeed back on stage for final words.
I must say I'm very proud of all of you, the team, the collaboration, the teamwork. And as Neda said, it was a great energy and positive feeling throughout the day. You know, as you know, like I think it was Bill Ford said, you can have any car you want as long as it's black. So it was a great idea, but we'll stick to whatever we were doing. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just joking. You know, one of these days, I have to be a little bit open-minded to flex our, you know, and other, like the morning meeting, quite frankly, Neda has been asking to try different things, and We are trying to have like different function in the 3 verticals. And I am hoping that I will become more open-minded. So thanks for pointing it out to me. But also I would like to tell you like a little crazy thing that a crazy company Walmart does. One of my Voodoo, one of my colleagues sold his company to Walmart, and for the next 2 years, they asked him to fly Sundays to Bentonville, Arkansas, and have a Monday morning meeting for 4 hours and fly back. And they do that in sort of like majority leadership positions. Imagine not having any Sundays. You know, quite frankly, everybody from California gets on the plane, goes to Bentonville, has a Monday morning meeting and flies back. I would say that's a waste of a lot of time. You know, 4 hours there, 4 hours back. Also, they require everybody to work Saturday morning if you want to be in a leadership position. So the point I want to make is a lot of us would like flex hours. A lot of us would like a different setup, a morning meeting. But as one of the teammates, it's also hard for me to change something that is working. You know, when we started Plug and Play, quite frankly, people thought it's a crazy idea. We met every morning with top 20, I mean, we had only 7 employees, but we met at 8:15 every morning. So again, I'm open to trying new ideas. I'm open to trying it in different verticals. And if it proves better results, we can roll it out to different verticals and different offices. But I think the essence of today was the team spirit. I think at least 7 out of the 9 presentation, the communication one, having best practices, having a place that we can ask questions that should be answered quite easily. It's really reachable. And as somebody pointed out, it doesn't even cost money. Having a communication manager, we do have the people. We have great people in our marketing team, but we have to have one of them assigned to say, you are our communication manager, and if anybody has a question about who the 120 people that are downstairs, we should have a quick answer to it. But to, you know, congratulate Mike. Mike had Matthew from PVH come fly from New York here to present to Nike. And before they left, they say they want to join us as an anchor partner and they want to participate in the fund. You know, quite frankly, I mean, like we have superstars, maybe even good salespeople, but it's your team, your product, your brand that does that. I mean, quite frankly, we all could be individually strong, smart. Quite frankly, I think personally I'm very ordinary, but my hard work and, you know, you could say I'm a little bit stubborn, especially with change, is partially what has made us successful. And again, I tell all of my colleagues, there was not a business model that we followed. We sort of paved our own business model. We pivoted, we worked on what worked. And in some circles, we are the best in the world. So congratulations. Then, I am not sure, I had 3-4 points. We would love to grow in the coming year. We would like to grow about 40%. We would love to open